बचपन के दिन, मेरे बचपन के दिन कितने अच्छे थे दिन, मेरे बचपन के दिन कितने अच्छे थे दिन। आज बैठे बिठाए क्यों याद आ गए, आज बैठे बिठाए क्यों याद आ गए। मेरे बिछड़ों को मुझसे मिला दे कोई, मेरे बिछड़ों को मुझसे मिला दे कोई, मेरा बचपन किसी मोल ला दे कोई।
Cathedral School, Lahore is one of the oldest schools of Pakistan. This year it will complete its 137 years service of commitment and dedication for the cause of education. Cathedral School, under the name of Girls High School, was opened on 14 February 1883. Bishop Thomas Welby French was mainly responsible for building. He was a great administrator, a scholar and linguist. The school was started under the headship of Miss Florence Hope Tasker with 27 girls. In 1892, it migrated to a new house on Temple Road. Secondary classes commenced in 1894. In 1901, the school migrated to a bungalow on McLeod Road near Capital Cinema. The headmistress in 1902 was Miss Ramon. She did much to organize and improve the school. She stayed till 1970. During this time, there were several additions to the school. The most important of which is the present building erected on Lahore. The foundation stone was laid on 11th May 1903 by Sir Charles Rivas, the Lieutenant Governor of the Punjab. In 1907, numbers had risen to 80. In January 1932, there were 193 pupils, grown under the headship of Miss C.M. Fountain, who carried on till 1934. Miss K.M. Burden took over the charge and served in 1939 and was succeeded by Miss Murray. From the time of partition, the school had welcomed the entry of a great number of Muslim children, and it fully played its part in meeting the growing pressure for secondary education. Miss Ethel White took over as principal in 1950. In February 1952, the school was officially recognized as a secondary school. In 1956, Miss Burden became the principal for the third time. This was the period when Cambridge Overseas School Certificate and the Punjab matriculation was introduced, and by that time the numbers had risen to almost 900, with the proportion of roughly 2 boys to 1 girl. In the same year, in May, Miss White returned as an assistant and a year later became the principal for the second time. Miss White retired in January 1960 and her long services to education were recognized by the award of the MBE in London at the hands of Queen Elizabeth II. Became the principal for the third time. This was the period when Cambridge Overseas School Certificate and the Punjab matriculation was introduced, and by that time the numbers had risen to almost 900, with a proportion of roughly 2 boys to 1 girl. In the same year, in May, Miss White returned as an assistant and a year later became the principal for the second time. Miss White retired in January 1960 and her long services to education were recognized by the award of the MBE in London at the hands of Queen Elizabeth II. Mr. G. Stott took over the charge as a principal in January 1960. He was an eminent educationist. In his tenure, a number of additions like a new library was built, furnished and equipped largely with a variety of books. A bicycle shed was extended. The number had risen to about 1,290. In 1964, Castro V. Alonso, the vice principal, was promoted as principal. He launched intermediate and higher secondary schools classes to meet the rising needs adequately. A science block was provided to the senior school to enjoy the science facilities. New science and humanities faculty were recruited. In September 1968, about 1,400 pupils welcomed their new principal, Mr. Norman Green, and vice principal, Mr. Peter J. Wilson. Mr. Norman Green's successor was Mr. Peter J. Wilson. In his time, the school functioned at a normal pace. In 1972, the government introduced a policy of nationalization. It was also a turning point in the history of Cathedral School. A new era began as Mr. Yusuf Wahab became the first national principal. But in the year 1978, Mr. Gladwin Das steered the ship of Cathedral School as principal and continued till 1989. Reverend Parkinson became the principal of the school in 1989. In 1993, Mr. Samuel N. Coker became the principal, and in 1994, Mrs. P. Samuel became the vice principal. After the retirement of Mr. Samuel Coker in the year 1998, there was a breakthrough in the history of Cathedral School. Mrs. P. Samuel stepped forward to meet the challenge. She enjoys the honor of being the first national female principal of Cathedral School.
I joined the Cathedral School in 1959. My house was Lahore. My class fellows, Khaja Sayyid Zafar perhaps was one of my class fellows. He has passed away, but a very prominent advocate of the Lahore, and he had also been the additional Attorney General of Pakistan as well. Cathedral family is outstanding family. I have seen while in my profession also as a lawyer and then as a judge all that they outshine, and they are mostly and almost everywhere seen in bureaucracy, in judiciary, in army, in every field of life they have succeeded, and they have the confidence to compete, and this is one of the very laudable character of the Cathedralites. School has taught me both the education, that is a lesson, and also the manners, how to conduct myself in this society, and this is something which is a great combination of both the blend of education and blend of mannerism has brought us to a point where there is a lot of confidence in the cathedralites with which they can achieve their goals in life. Mr. Khokar, who used to teach us Urdu, they were one of the best teachers, I think, in not only in school but whole of Lahore. They were very prominent, best teachers who would have passion for. When I joined the school, Miss White was leaving.
Superb, superb.
And Mr. Alonso perhaps was taking over.
Sharik Mahmood here. I joined Cathedral School on 1st February 1950. Class for transition, and Miss Macmillan was my first teacher. Left in December 1959 after my senior Cambridge. Our association with the school extends over 30 years. My 6 sisters, all of them, Anjam, Tamina, Maimuna, Shabina, Rosina and Pashmina all studied here. My house was Matthew's, a red house. I was also its captain. I was head boy of the school, library prefect, captain of cricket and basketball teams, and color holder in basketball. Allah be with all of us, wherever we are, and always to us. Continue to keep in touch, and God give more strength to this forum so that we can find opportunities and avenues to be together again and enjoy each other's company to it. Thank you, all of you again. Thank you very much.
I joined Cathedral School in 1962, and I think I have probably one of the longest associations with the school, because I did my A levels from there in 1974, so that was 12 straight years. But then after that, I had the great opportunity of teaching at the school geography for O levels while I was a student at Government College and later at Law College, and this continued for 3 years. So I had an unbroken association with the school for 15 years, and it was really a very, very remarkable period for which I have very fond memories of those 15 years that I had spent at Cathedral School. First as a student, and then it was a great opportunity for me to be as a teacher. Well, from the very beginning, there's a pantheon of great teachers that we had at Cathedral, but I think one of the most outstanding, of course, was Miss Harris. I think we were privileged to be taught by such a dedicated teacher as Miss Harris. She, of course, was a British and had come to Pakistan. She was not only our teacher but also the headmistress, and she had dedicated her whole life to the school, and it was her dedication and commitment which was also reflected in her teachings. She was a geography teacher, and as a result of her great teaching abilities, I was also very passionate about geography. I got an A, which was rare at that time, in A levels in geography, and as a result of that, the then principal, Mr. Yusuf Wahab, who was also one of my great favorites, then asked me to teach there at school, which I started doing and continued doing that for about 3 years. I think the message that I want to give for those who have been at Cathedral and were my contemporaries or those who followed me, I think they will all join me in saying a big thank you to Cathedral and the teaching community there, teachers community there, for all the great things that they did for us. I think they were dedicated, they were committed, they were great teachers, and we owe everything in our success, in our later success, to the Cathedral family that we had. To the students that are there today, I would say enjoy your time there, imbue this Cathedral culture. The Cathedral culture was that everybody was equal. and everybody was treated as being the same, and that there was no distinction as far as religion was concerned or as far as their economic background was concerned. Unlike some of the other public schools at the time, which were only meant to cater for the high income categories and still are there, Cathedral was a great leveler, great equalizer. We had students from different economic backgrounds, from different regional, different localities of Lahore, and also from different sects and religions. And it was a great leveler. Everybody was treated the same. And I think that's the spirit of any public institution, and that must be the spirit which must imbue in our private and in our public culture also.
A very good day to all my friends from Cathedral. I started my education at Cathedral. I've been I think if I can count correctly, I've been to 11 different schools, but it's at Cathedral that I had the fondest memory. And I was here on 3 occasions. Started off at Cathedral, came back in class 6, then went off again, came back in class 9, and went off again when I was in year 10, first on the Cambridge side and then moved to humanities. It's been a fulfilling experience, and it's been wonderful remaining in touch with all my friends. And you can well imagine the people I went to school with at Cathedral, I have a lot of those friends because I was there on 3 separate occasions and often in different sections and classes. Caught up with with most of them, but most of all maintained contact with school. I always go there whenever there is a reunion, and it's always fun to meet and see old faces and recall our times at school. So God bless you all, and enjoy your memories of school. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Shasta Suhail, formerly Shasta Orikzi. I joined Cathedral School Hall Road in 1966, and I left in 1977 after doing my O-levels. I was school head girl in 1977, and I also had the honor of being house captain of Darrant House in 1977 when we won the all-round trophy. I still recall it was a big achievement, and it was one of the happiest moments of my school life. And all my teachers were wonderful, committed, helpful, and Miss Sarla Paul, Mrs. Rihan, Miss Wild, Mr. Victor.
Well, December always reminds me of Christmas. And speaking of that, I have very vivid memories of the Santa Claus going from class to class wearing red coat, white beard, and distributing gifts and sweets amongst the class fellows and school children. I also remember that the school administration used to hold tableau at the school church, where the entire story of the birth of the Jesus Christ was repeated in the shape of a tableau. We used to sing Christmas carols, and last but not least, there were Christmas holidays. We used to enjoy that a lot. Good old days.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Major General Zafar Abbas. I've been asked to say a few words on Cathedral High School, Hall Road, Lahore, where I studied from 1952 to 1963, spanning a period of nearly 11 years. During the course of these 11 years, all along I was part of Lefroy House, also called the Greenhouse. Amongst the teachers, first the principals, we had Miss White, then Miss Budden, Mr. Thorban, and Mr. Stott. Amongst the teachers, we had Miss Moses in nursery class, Miss Mavis McMullen was in transition. She also had a younger sister by the name of Stella McMullen, who later joined us and subsequently married Dr. Zafar Altaf, who happened to be one of our head boys. Then we had Miss Samuels in first standard, Miss Benjamin in second standard, Miss Mehdi Khan was in fourth standard, Mrs. Barnett was English, Miss Azhar was maths, Castrovi Alonso, English literature. He could teach, his teaching of Shakespeare was outstanding. Later on became the principal also of the school. Miss Harris was geography, Miss Massey was science, Miss Edels was music, her piano and the organ in the church. Mr. Nasi was Urdu, Mr. Lister was science, Mr. Sohotra was maths, Mr. Hubert Massey was PT and games, and Mr. Anderson was the bursar. Ladies and gentlemen, Cathedral High School, Hall Road, Lahore, was amongst the elite schools of Lahore during the 50s and 60s. It was also the only co-education institution in Lahore from nursery to senior Cambridge, having a large number of teachers of British origin, along with a large community from the Anglo-Indian community. The teachers were selfless and the student product was outstanding, not only in academics, but overall character building, which included integrity and moral character. Having studied in Cathedral School and got my early education, it laid a very sound base for our advancement in life. Confidence always oozed out of its students during public dealings. Unfortunately, the education system in Pakistan has deteriorated in recent years. There's a huge disparity between public and private institutions, which further leads to economic issues amongst the youth. While the teaching standards in public education has deteriorated, the private sector has made money making the cornerstone of their education policy. Having had the opportunity to visit the neighboring countries like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Burma, I saw that unlike Pakistan, they have not tampered with their education system, but only improved it. I wish and pray that we could revert to our old education system taught in schools like Cathedral School, wherein a conducive education environment existed, the end result being a fully groomed young student ready to take on the challenges of life. Thank you.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल आकिब के आपकी एंडेवर जो है स्कूल के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं और दोस्त हैं सीनियर से आप उनके इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं. दिस विल बी अ गुड थिंग फॉर मेमोरी और हमारे बच्चों के लिए भी एक ओपनिंग होगी कि बुज़ुर्गों ने क्या किया. मैंने स्कूल ज्वाइन किया था 1955 में एंड मैंने फिर 12th क्लास किया जब कॉलेज बना था ये, तो इन 67 मैं वहाँ से 68 में निकला हूँ. तो स्कूल की मेमोरीज तो बेहिसाब हैं और मैं ये समझता हूँ आकिफ की जो मुझे ज़िंदगी में जो बेस्ट चीज़ें हुई वो दो हुई. एक तो अच्छी फैमिली मिली और दूसरा ये था कि बेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूशन मिला एंड वी हैड वन ऑफ द बेस्ट टीचर्स. सबसे बड़ी बात तो होती है कि टीचर की बात होती है. स्कूल बहुत साफ, वेरी नीट एंड जिस तरह मैं आई कैन नेवर फॉरगेट मिस्टर स्टॉट, मिस हैरिस एंड मिस्टर लॉन्जो, मिस्टर ग्रीन. उसके बाद में कुछ टीचर्स ऐसे मैं नहीं भूल सकता जिसमें मिस्टर सोत्रा है. बहुत प्यारे आदमी थे, बहुत प्यारे इंसान थे. उनको जब बहुत गुस्सा आता था तो वो उठा के किताब फेंक देते थे हवा में, मारते कभी नहीं थे. एंड उनका बड़ा फिक्रा था कि ही यूज्ड टू कॉल यू काका जी एंड कहते थे सम आर वाइज एंड सम आर अदरवाइज एंड यू आर अदरवाइज काका जी. दिस इज हॉलन स्टीवंस, ब्यूटीफुल पर्सन. और मिस एल्बर्ट को मैं इससे नहीं भूलूंगा, थी तो वो बड़ी सख्त मगर बड़ी डिसिप्लिन सिखाया उन्होंने. और अगर मैंने इंग्लिश में कुछ सीखा तो उनसे सीखा. जोग्राफी में मिस हैरिस थे, वाज वंडरफुल. एंड फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड वहाँ की चीज़ें बहुत ज़बरदस्त थी. एंड स्पोर्ट्स में उस ज़माने में क्रिकेट था और हम ये गोलियाँ बहुत खेलते थे, लट्टू बहुत खेलते थे. लकड़ी के लट्टू थे, अब तो ये चीज़ें है ही नहीं. तो फिर हम उस वक्त जब लंच ब्रेक होता था तो हमारा मुकाबला शुरू रहता था लट्टू का. एंड गोलियाँ बहुत खेलते थे, मार्बल्स. एंड क्रिकेट के लिए भी बड़ी अच्छी जगह थी. बास्केटबॉल के लिए बहुत इनकरेज करते थे ये स्पोर्ट्स से. और मैं खुद सॉफ्ट बॉल में नेशनल लेवल तक खेला था. आई वुड लव कि मेरे जो यंग दोस्त हैं जो मुझसे 10-15 साल छोटे हैं, मेरे बच्चों की एज के भी हैं, तो दे शुड लर्न कि जो फैक्टा नॉन वर्ब है, फैक्ट्स नॉट वर्ड्स, तो उस पर अमल करें और मेहनत करें और अपने स्कूल को और अपने माँ बाप को कभी न भूलें. क्योंकि सबसे ज़्यादा जो अगर दौलत आपने ली है वो माँ बाप और स्कूल से ली है. और यकीन करना, मैं हकीकत बता रहा हूँ, ऐसा स्कूल कम से कम मैंने तो नहीं देखा दोबारा. क्योंकि एचसन में पढ़ाई नहीं थी, था वो वडेरों का. दिस वाज अ पब्लिक स्कूल एंड अ ब्यूटीफुल स्कूल. तो हमने वहाँ बड़ा एंजॉय किया. कुछ दोस्त भी याद आते हैं. मेरे दोस्तों में दया कृष्ण एक नाम है, वो मेरा बड़ा करीबी दोस्त था. एंड देन उसके बाद में अजीज़ वारिस था. एंड देन बाकी बहुत से हैं जो कि कुछ तो इस दुनिया में नहीं है बाकी जो. तो आई विश माई फ्रेंड्स ऑल ऑफ देम, चाहे वो लड़के हों या लड़कियां हों, कि वो मेहनत करें और अपनी नीयत को परफेक्ट रखें. इंटेग्रिटी इज अनदर.
1981 में 1981 का बैच है मेरा. मेरी ज़िंदगी का सबसे खूबसूरत वक्त वो था जब मैं कैथीड्रल में था. और मैं अपने साथ जो मेरे दोस्त, मेरे बचपन के साथी जिनके साथ मैं जवान हुआ, बड़ा हुआ, मेरे दिल में उनके लिए बेहद मोहब्बत है और बेहद प्यार है. और उनके बारे में सोचता हूँ, उनकी खैर अंदेशी करता हूँ. और क्योंकि मैं कहता भी हूँ, लिखता हूँ, तो मेरा मीडियम आपके इल्म में शायद हो कि मैं पंजाबी में कहता हूँ. तो पंजाबी में एक नज़म मैंने अपने इंतहाई अजीज दोस्तों के लिए कही. अर्ज किया है कि आज जो वेला याद मैं करदा, आज जो वेला याद मैं करदा जदों स्कूले जांदे सां. ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਵੇਲਾ ਯਾਦ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਕੂਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਭੋਰਾ ਗਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਦੱਬ ਕੇ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਟੀਚਰ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਫੈਂਟੀ ਖਾਣੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਫੈਂਟੀ ਖਾਣੀ ਇਹ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਮਾਮੂਲੀ ਸੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਫੈਂਟੀ ਖਾਣੀ ਇਹ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਮਾਮੂਲੀ ਸੀ ਲਾਲ ਦੀਨ ਨੇ ਫੇਰ ਜੇ ਕੁੱਟਿਆ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਬਹਿਣਾ ਦਿਲ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਬਹਿਣਾ ਦਿਲ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਝੱਲਿਆਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਹੱਸਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਜ ਤੜਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਬਣੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਨੀ ਵਾਹ ਵਾਹ ਹੋਵੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਬਣੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਨੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਇੰਜ ਖਲੋਣਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸਬਕ ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਕੀ ਬਾਤ ਹੈ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਾਰਾਂ ਹੈ ਸਨ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਾਰਾਂ ਹੈ ਸਨ ਦਿਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਜੁੜੀਆਂ ਤਾਰਾਂ ਹੈ ਸਨ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਾਰਾਂ ਹੈ ਸਨ ਦਿਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਜੁੜੀਆਂ ਤਾਰਾਂ ਹੈ ਸਨ ਮਕਰ ਫਰੇਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਕੁਝ ਲੁਕਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਕੀ ਬਾਤ ਹੈ ਮੋਟਰਸਾਈਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਚਮਕਾ ਕੇ ਮੋਟਰਸਾਈਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਚਮਕਾ ਕੇ 2 ਲੀਟਰ ਪੈਟਰੋਲ ਪਵਾ ਕੇ ਮੋਟਰਸਾਈਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਜੀਵਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਸੰਗੀ ਸਾਥੀ ਜੀਵਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਸੰਗੀ ਸਾਥੀ ਤੁਹਾਥੋਂ ਹੌਲੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਹਾਥੀ ਜੀਵਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਸੰਗੀ ਸਾਥੀ ਤੁਹਾਥੋਂ ਹੌਲੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਹਾਥੀ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਸਭ ਰਲ ਕੇ VCR ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ ਆਖਰੀ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਰਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਵੇਲਾ ਕਿੰਜ ਭੁਲਾ ਲਈਏ ਉਹ ਵੇਲਾ ਕਿੰਜ ਭੁਲਾ ਲਈਏ ਉਹ ਯਾਦਾਂ ਕਿੰਜ ਭੁਲਾ ਦਈਏ ਉਹ ਵੇਲਾ ਕਿੰਜ ਭੁਲਾ ਲਈਏ ਉਹ ਯਾਦਾਂ ਕਿੰਜ ਭੁਲਾ ਦਈਏ ਅਹਿਮਦ ਜੀ ਵੇਲਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਸੀ ਜਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਕੂਲ
Three, Mr. Samuel N. Coker became the principal, and in 1994, Mrs. P. Samuel became the vice principal. After the retirement of Mr. Samuel Coker in the year 1998, there was a breakthrough in the history of Cathedral School. Mrs. P. Samuel stepped forward to meet the challenge. She enjoys the honor of being the first national female principal of Cathedral School, Lahore. In the beginning of 2011, Mrs. Shireen Sarfaraz, an experienced lady, took charge to be the head of this institution. She was transferred from Cathedral Model Town and served the school till 19th March 2015. Mr. Sarwar Anwar, the 20th principal of Cathedral Harlow School, got Yusuf Wahab Award after 22 years in the history of the school for 2 consecutive times under the principalship of Mr. Sarwar Anwar. The school is working well under the supervision of our management and has produced many eminent personalities in the field of judiciary, like Justice Naseem Hassan Shah and Justice Saqib Nisar as Chief Justices of Pakistan, Tariq Salim Sheikh and Shudat Ali Khan as Judges of Lahore High Court. Many members of our Cathedralite family rose to the rank of journalists like Shaheen Gul, Zafar Abbas, Agha Jahangir and Hussain Mehdi. In sports, many shining stars were produced like Imran Khan, the present Prime Minister of Pakistan, Wasim Akram, Parvez Mir, Bogi Alaudi, Tanveer Dar, Akhtar Rasool, Hussain Mehdi, Niwa Chanan, Colonel Naseem Bhatt, and many more. Many prominent bureaucrats from our Cathedralite family include Mr. Sharik Mahmood, Tariq Bajwa, Asif Bajwa, Shaista Suhail, Nosheen Amjad, Arif Azim, Khwaja Daud Ahmed, Abdul Jawad, and many more.
And in 2015 March, I was shifted here back to the pavilion in Cathedral School, Hall Road, from where I started my career. I feel proud to be a principal of this school. Yes, we have two streams. One is the metric stream, other is the O level, and the fundamental or the basic routine we have adapted by the foreigners is still running on, and very good discipline is going on. We have 80 teachers and 40.
I joined the school in 1962 and left the school in 1972. And in sports, in the school, the prominent at that time were Mr. Atif Riaz, Robert Diwan, who was good in athletics, Mr. James Howe, who was good in table tennis, and PJ Beer, who was good in cricket. This is what I remember. Yes, I've been doing sports in the school. I was good at basketball, and later I led the national basketball team, and I'm proud to say that I'm the undefeated coach in the history of basketball, and I was the chief coach of Pakistan Army Sports. Firstly, I must appreciate the efforts of Mr. Akif, you in particular, who is taking so much of trouble and to make it a great success for all the cathedralites. I really appreciate your efforts, and I wish you all the success. My favorite teacher was Mr. Sotra, who used to say, some are wise, other are otherwise. And as far as the principals are concerned, my favorite was Mr. Wilson, because once there was a basketball match between us and the Don Bosco school, and there was a little bit fight between both the teams. I still remember that he took the trophy and got hold of the trophy himself so that nobody could take it. And that was something to be remembered. Yes, I would say that all those who are very well placed these days, they should look after the younger lot. I still remember that once I visited Dr. Zafar Altaf. He was then Deputy Secretary Establishment, and one of our class fellows who had joined civil services in the DMG group. I remember I visited him and just introduced myself. Sir, I am a cathedralite. Can you help me out? And I still remember he told his staff, bring the posting order. The gentleman was posted to Balochistan. He said, amend it and put it for Punjab. Yes, I joined army. I retired as a colonel. But my claim to fame in the army and otherwise, I think it is basketball and sport.
Well, I have very vivid memories of that. I remember it was the month of March, back in 1976, when I first entered into school. Mine was Durham, and I remember that back in 1980s, particularly in the second half of the 80s, Durham was the house that trained supreme in all the sports. I guess I have very vivid memories of that. When I entered school, we were taken in the kindergarten class. Mrs. Hakim used to lead that. Then I moved on to the preparatory class that is known as the prep class. Mrs. Dean was the class teacher. In the first class, we were headed by Mrs. Enamul Haq. In the second class, it was Mrs. Chauhan. In fourth, it was Mrs. Johanna. In the fifth, it was Mrs. P. Amin. Sixth, God bless her, Mrs. Eva Chauhan. Seventh was led by Mr. Bharti. In seventh Cambridge, we had Mrs. Zakia Murray. In eighth, it was Siddhar Dean. In ninth and 10th Cambridge, it was Miss Azra Khan. And in 10th matriculation, it was Mr. Yusuf Jalal. My message to the Cathedralite fraternity is that wherever you are, whoever you are, please join hands as alumni and support the school administration so that we can help regain the lost glory of Cathedral. Thank you.
Dear friends, Assalamu alaikum. I don't know what to tell you, but Cathedral School is very important in my life. The days I have spent over there are memorable. It highlights my childhood memories. I used to roam around these very halls and sit on those very desks which perhaps we use today even. Listen to teachers scold me, be punished now and then, and even if I didn't, love every moment of it, everything I have and I owe to this wonderful school. I found lifelong friends who have stuck with me through thick and thin, for instilling me with values that I carry throughout life.
Hi everyone, I did O-levels in 1976. I'm not exactly sure what year I started kindergarten. I took 2 double promotions, so you all can do the math. According to my calculations, it comes to around 1976. My house was Durant, and I would like to believe that it was the best. I did secretly wish to be in French or Matthew though, but thank God at least we were better than Lefroy. My favorite teachers, that's a very tough question. They were all great. They did a fabulous job of shaping our lives. And but if I had to pick one, then it would have to be among male teachers, Sir Minhajuddin, who taught us English literature, and among the female teachers, I would say Mrs. Salek, besides several others. My message to fellow Cathedralites would be never to forget our school motto, which was Facta non verba, deeds, not words. actions speak louder than words. It is our core values taught by our teachers that binds us all together. Values that taught us to respect everyone, respect each other's differences, and be kind to one another. I think we all need to remember that, and our teachers did their bit. It's our responsibility to pass it down to our future generation. So, fellow Cathedralites, keep shining as always, and may God bless each one of you and your families. Bye.
I would like to share a very interesting fact with you. Very few people know that the school was basically founded for the girls, and it was founded on the same Valentine's Day. Yes, it was founded on 14th of February 1893. My request to all the Cathedralites is that this video is being shared on different social media. It is not possible to take interview of each and every one of yours, but we would like that please do comment with respect to your house, with respect to your year of joining in the school and whatever you are doing these days, so that we can once again have a close knit amongst ourselves.